Good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am your West African correspondent, Amara. Welcome to the latest news update on the continent of Africa. Focus on Liberia is an international platform which through West African correspondent, Amara, uses this biggest opportunity to come to you with the latest development on the continent, breaking news. We come to you with news of interest, news that affects Africa. We are employing you to ensure that maybe you help us in sharing the button to ensure that this news is being disseminated across the globe. Welcome to this all-important news. We look some careful analysis on the news, events, and things that actually affect the continent. We know Africa is a very interesting continent because of colonial history. Maybe whatsoever things that happen in the other parts of the earth, especially like in Europe or in the Americas, it does have sometimes the ramification of Africa can actually be absolutely negative. Sometimes even popular change of regime in Western countries does affect us. So Focus on Liberia uses this opportunity to ensure that we bring to you the most important news on the continent. Although Africa, in our past experiences, not been making maybe good headlines that actually matter, but the fact is that we need to analyze this thing. Maybe we have the people on the continent who we understand it, and we pray and hope that our leaders will also follow the trend of events to ensure that maybe we'll have a very good society where others can definitely learn. Today, we are having basically too many important stories on the continent that we definitely need to dilate on. One, we are going to start in Sierra Leone. President Mada Bio takes early lead in Sierra Leone presidential race. Then also we are going to see ex-Botswana minister who talks about sexual harassment during the time that she was in office. She's now serving as maybe the ambassador of climate change on the UN for Africa. And we also see how Ethiopia chief electoral commission resigns because of ill health. Then we are going to see into the Sudan. South Sudan have taken in 10,000 refugees from northern Sudan. Then Kenyan tax crisis is a mistake, according to some supporters of the president. Then voters back Mali's referendum changes. Let's also see what actually happened over there. The more kills a man in northern Nigeria because of alleged blasphemy. So let's start. In presidential and general elections were held in Sierra Leone on the 24th of June 2023. In the election, Sierra Leone decided to use what they call the PRS system, that is proportional representation, for both parliamentary and local councils election. And in Sierra Leone, after every 5 good years, they conduct fresh election. We are those who are elected into offices. We have to renew their mandate through popular support from the citizens. And normally we are expecting that just after the election, those who are going to be elected will sign what I call the social contract with the people or the citizens that got them elected into offices. So if they fail to fulfill on those promises, in the next 5 years, in 2028, we are also expecting another president, a fresh one, maybe a new parliament, new cabinet, and new local council representations. In short here, Sierra Leone introduced what they call proportional representation for parliamentary and local council selection. And that system was actually adopted in some part of 1996 and 2002. It was actually used. That was under the Tijan Kaba-led regime, who was their former president and is now late. He hailed from the north, but some people said he was a Guinean, and he happens also to claim a village in Kailaon district, one town there by the name of Mumbai, which he ended up to build a mosque over there to clarify his citizenship into Sierra Leone. So what our system simply means, if they are saying proportional representation, let's take starters from the president. The president have to win what they call absolute majority. It means the total number of valid votes cast. The president who will be declared the winner must have won 55% of the total valid vote cast. In 2018, Sierra Leone held a general election when there was a total regime change. But in that particular election, we have over 18 presidential candidates. Out of those 18 presidential candidates, we have some smaller political parties, but who were arguably strong to win some part of the presidential vote. In fact, after the presidential vote, a combination of both, including the CPOC, that is Coalition for Change, which was a kind of political party formed by the former vice president to Ernest Bai Kroma by the name Alhaji Chief Sumana, who is a Konoman that hailed from the east and the Diamond, the Daminiferous district into Sierra Leone. Diamond was actually found in Kono in 1930. He's a Konoman. He's from a coalition with the APC government in 2007 and also 2012. But coming towards 2018, he fell out with the APC. He was being sacked by Mr. President and ended up to form his own political party. On that notion, we are now seeing in 2023, instead of them going as independent candidate, the CPOC party, that is Coalition for Change, joined with his former party, that is APC, the All Progressive Party, or All People Congress. He joined with the All People Congress. It means in the proportional representation, if you form a coalition with the All People Congress, but he is not actually running mate. The APC already have their candidate as Samara and Cheno Ba, who was actually Cherikoko. They normally call him popular name in Israel, Cherikoko. That is his running mate. So he only amalgamated his own party with theirs and by forming a coalition. So in short, if you are about to vote for the APC, but you are a CPOC sympathizer, you only vote for Samora Kamara. And all APC sympathizers, and including CPOC sympathizers, voted for Samora Kamara. Then when it comes to the SLPP, the party that came third into the election, actually in 2018 election, formed a coalition with the SLPP party. And that was represented by the former United Nations energy ambassador, that is Kande Yankila, who is from the north. He formed a coalition with the ruling LCPP. So it is not Kande Yankila that is actually represented on the board as the running mate. Rather, it is Jude. Jude is the one that is being represented. The Fulani is the one that has been represented on the box. Then including Mada Biu. So there was a popular coalition. And Yakande Yankila said he believed into the leadership of Mada Biu. Mada Biu has injected some changes, revitalized the economy, maybe create some stability, ensure that there are certain human rights. Then there is progress, there is road development, economic, amid the COVID-19 crisis, the war in Ukraine, and global warming. He thinks and feels that Mada Biu has done a lot, so he deserves his support. And under the leadership of Mada Biu, he thinks and feels that he doesn't need to contest for any presidential election, since Mada Biu is unarguably doing what he thought is better for the country, so they form a coalition. And when it comes down to the proportional representation, unlike the former elections, the 5 elections that were begun under the LCPP ruled the country for 2 years. That is from 1996 to 2002, and from 2002 to 2000, from 1996 to 2002, and from 2002 to 2007. Then the APC took the country from 2007 to 2012, and from 2012 to 2018. Then we have now seen in 2018, Mada Biu took another leadership battle. Now, I think this is the 6th consecutive time elections have been conducted. However, this is the 5th time after the 10-year brutal rule. It's the 5th time after the 10 years brutal time. But it is 6 democratically elected elections into Sierra Leone from 1996 to 2002, from 2002 to 2007, from 2007 to 2012, from 2012 to 2018, from 2018 to 2023. So, after the 10 years brutal civil war, that was termed as one of the most brutal wars on African continent, that resulted into the amputation, death, killing, rape, and whatsoever thing. I even saw the like of former president of Liberia serving a 60 years jail term into London. Saw them convicted because of crimes against humanity he committed, or in one or two ways he led to the commission into Sierra Leone. So So this is the fifth democratic election. According to the Electoral Commissioner, he says this is the most this the election. In fact, arguably this is the most peaceful election ever held into Sierra Leone. According to him, so in the proportional representation, unlike the presidential election, in the proportional representation, what they do, the party submits a list of candidates that it's satisfied can run for parliamentary seats. And those candidates are organized in preferential position or in the order of importance, or you give a scale of preference. So if the party thinks that Mr. A, B, C, D, and E are worth to be our representative, they submit them. They submit name, but on the list is constituency 1, constituency 2, constituency 3, constituency 4, constituency 5. So in this situation, if a particular district, as it is called in Liberia, county, has 12 parliamentary seats, or as you call it, a House of Representatives, unlike the senators. So the party will now submit 12, the party will submit 20 representatives. But in actual sense, it is only 12 people that are going to be elected. So on that particular list, 20 symbols are going to be awarded in that party's name. But for any person to win a constituency seat, that person must have won 11.9% of the total valid vote cast in the name of a parliamentary seat. So they will now divide those constituencies based on that particular quantum of vote being scored. So if party 1 win 11.9%, that constituency, the first person that comes on the list of that party list, if it is Mr. Brown that came first, then it is Mr. Brown, they will go to the second person. If it is Mr. B is there, they will also give you that 8. In essence here, anybody now, even when you do not have a symbol, you can even contest the party as an independent person. So before this time, maybe a young person who is very popular has the ability to even lead his constituency, but just because he is not awarded a symbol, will automatically be deprived of not running for any parliamentary seat. But this system gives you the opportunity to run for a parliamentary seat, even when you do not have a registered political party. You are just an independent candidate, as long as you have registered and paid the subscription fees or the fees that will qualify you to run for a parliamentary seat. So the synergy about this thing is that, one, youth who do not have the financial backing to be given party symbols will now run or have run for parliamentary seats. And if they are popular enough as they claim themselves to be, they can easily win parliamentary seat and go to parliament without even having political party. However, if you are if you are being sent to parliament based on the popular vote that you receive, the law says you must join a political party. In that, we experience some independent candidates who will win the elections, and those independent candidates now will have the opportunity to join a party of their choice. That could be what they call in parliament, of course, lobbying involves money, but it is not seen as a crime. It is a legal means where parliamentarians maybe get money one or two ways. So we will now see political lobbying into parliament. That is the most important thing about it. But another disadvantage is that the voter's choice cannot even also be reflected into this system. Maybe 20 people have been awarded like APC or SFPP symbol, which is actually fantastic. It has given them the opportunity for larger representation of the people. But it will now be left at the discretion of the political party to organize its own political candidate or parliamentary candidate into the order of importance, those they think and feel that will start the list. So there is a possibility that at that constituency level, you won it on the parliament through the electoral college. But when these unscrupulous politicians who decide the fate of others meet now, they will now decide now to order their candidacy in the order of importance. Maybe you could easily be placed at last. So if you know that this particular district have 12 seats, based on the number that you will place on the list, you will automatically conclude that even if this party win everything, I can become a parliamentarian or I will not become. It goes for the local councillors. Then another advantage of this particular system is that it do away with the mentality of by-elections, which is very expensive and full of thuggery acts. In a situation, a person dies who was actually elected, the person who scored the second highest vote into that particular constituency, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person must come from the ruling party or the party that won the original election. There's a possibility that the candidate that won the election was 11.9%. Then the one that came like 11.6 or 7%. But he did not actually come from that political party. He could be an independent candidate coming from the opposition party. So immediately that person is being appointed to another presidential position or ministerial position. That position becomes vacant. So the electoral commission will now cross-check the system. Who will see the second highest popular vote into that particular constituency. That person will automatically become a parliamentarian without conducting any election, which gives everybody the opportunity to definitely be elected and do away with the mentality and the brutal atmosphere of by-elections. So in this particular election, after 60% of the election result being declared, it is the ruling SLPP party that is now leading. It now has 56% out of the 60% being declared, with Amara having the 42%. And the little other percentages are being given to other lesser political candidates. Yesterday, the opposition APC led by Matthew Amara held a press conference with the intention of declaring himself a winner. The SLP, that is the Sierra Leone police, deemed it as an outrageous act. His particular office was surrounded, and he came under serious pressure because they never wanted for him to make any declaratory statement which may end up to create a chaotic society for Sierra Leone. Both the SLPP and the APC are even claiming victory, but the result coming from the Electoral Commission places BU ahead of Samora. The result actually coming from the Electoral Commissioner. The result is placing BU ahead of Samora. Both candidates have been urged to cool down their emotions. And the only person that is responsible to announce election results in Sierra Leone is the Chief Electoral Officer, that is Mohammed K. Kone, who has been accused of biasness against the opposition APC, which he definitely denied, and said the system is free and absolutely fair. He also warned for all political parties to restrain from the mentality of violence. Those who feel aggrieved after the election result will be declared should definitely seek the court. And in Sierra Leone, we have courts in Sierra Leone that listen to election petitions. Unarguably, the Supreme Court. They are now urging all political parties to maintain the atmosphere of peace and the little political and democratic gain that Sierra Leone has gained since the end of the Civil War 22 years ago should not be disturbed or destroyed in the name of unscrupulous and selfish, greedy mentality of certain politicians. Citizens have been warned to keep quiet. But we are now seeing tense atmosphere in places like Freetown and Makeni. The Electoral Commissioner has actually asked for 48 hours for him to declare the result, and which expires by tomorrow. There is a high possibility that by tomorrow, the final result will be released, which, if we are to follow the current prediction, if there is no change being made into the system, then the ruling SLPP is set to win a landslide victory that will definitely prevent the conduction of another second round of election. That is so far for Sierra Leone. We go into Botswana. The ex-minister of Botswana, who was 30 years old, appointed 2 years back, has claimed that she suffered from harassment. I think Africa is just a masculine society. Some people with unscrupulous and myopic idea think and feel that women do not actually merit anything without their sexuality. She, as 30, was appointed as a minister, but she faced harassment, even backbiting or malicious gossip. Some people think and feel that she used her sexuality to merit her position, which made her to feel absolutely uncomfortable. And according to her, when she gave an interview to the BBC podcast, she said that she was even being harassed by some people she worked with in the same office. And she reports those incidences to the principals, or in short, their higher authorities. They claim that they could be actually isolated incident. Today, she is now the ambassador representing Africa on UN for global climate change. She's calling upon African society to stop the masculinity mentality, maybe to view women as people that contribute. And nobody should think and feel that female do not actually merit certain positions that they get. Although it's a society which definitely cannot be eliminated. Some people are actually promoted based on their sexuality, but they should be respected. And I think another important thing about the Sierra Leone election, let me not forget to mention it because of the female issue that I'm discussing, is that the Constitution of Sierra Leone guarantees women 30% representation in any administrative or political appointment. In short here, we are expecting 30% of Sierra Leone parliament and 30% of ministerial appointment and other managerial positions should be made of females. But based on the presentation of members of parliament that should actually represent Sierra Leoneans in parliament, I think it falls short. Maybe the system is more in theory instead of practical. Let's go to Ethiopia. Ethiopia Electoral Commissioner resigns because of ill health. She was appointed by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. She was the one that nullified the Tigrayan election that resulted into war 2 years back. Abiy Ahmed was seen as a political liberator who pacified the situation between Ethiopia and Eritrea, where we're having Isaiah Equity as president. It was a very nasty relationship between the two countries. However, when Tigray fell out with Ethiopia, it happens that people in Mekelle were being seriously tortured, raped, supported by Eritrea, and Amara, Afar, the Amuru, and other people who are supporting the Ethiopian government. Today, the Chief Electoral Commissioner has resigned. She claims that she's not she's not, let me not say physically fit, but she's not having a good health to continue leading the commission. It's an all-important position into the country. However, her appointment was widely seen by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed as a deliberate act to straighten himself and make him all-powerful into the country. We come into South Sudan. South Sudan takes 10,000 refugees from North Sudan. The conflict going on between the paramilitary forces and that of Al-Burhan, who is arguably Sudanese army or main army, has resulted into a distribution or widespread of refugees across East Africa, including the Middle East. South Sudan, which is also on tenterhooks of war, has taken around 10,000 refugees. People have been raped, killed. Some women are even being raped before the faces of their children. And the economic situation into South Sudan is worsening. There's a possibility that famine may definitely occur. And North Sudan is the economy into both South Sudan and North Sudan are worsening economies. But there's a possibility that famine may even occur within this particular region, because South Sudan depends on the stability of North Sudan, because South Sudan is a donor-driven, or maybe the South Sudan and both North Sudan are donor-driven economies. However, the backbone of South Sudan economy is oil, and most of their oil lines are actually being mined or stations into North Sudan. So the perpetual war going on over there may affect those places. So they are calling upon the international community to swiftly intervene and stop this thing. Unfortunately, like the Wagner forces that is in Africa, and they are all part of the Janjaweed militias. And now we are seeing Putin falling out with Pinjaweed, who is the Wangari leader, who is now seen or is now in Belarus, and Lukashenko is even claiming, the president of Belarus, saying that he is a betrayal, and who knows how safe he could be there, and he could even end up coming into Africa, maybe to stay in places like South Sudan, Mali, or Burkina Faso, where they are highly encouraged and they have their forces over there. Even Sierra, that is the Central African Republic, these forces are also over there. Maybe this is an alarming situation, and its fallout with Vladimir Putin may definitely end up to create problem into Africa. Of course, we are thinking that Volodymyr Zelensky can also use this as an opportunity to see how he can establish his position. This way, whatsoever thing that goes on into the West, it have sometimes negative effect on Africa. Look at how we are feeling the concomitant effect on our continent. Let's come into Kenya. Kenyan tax rise is a mistake, opposition says. The oil prices in Kenya have been rise up to 16%. It was 8%, and they have now skyrocketed into 16%. Maybe William Ruto was seen largely as the people's president because he is a peasant, and being a peasant farmer, everybody thought that he rose from the grassroots level, and he would have taken the opportunity to ensure that he empowered people. He has also struggled as a person. He is now a very wealthy person, a very wealthy politician, who has on numerous occasions been accused of having involved into corrupt practices. He was even one involved into the Hague, and the cases were being dropped, and those policemen or investigators who are actually investigating this case, some of them have been declared missing, some of them have been killed. People are still thinking and feeling that maybe most of those who lost their life were carefully orchestrated by President William Ruto. Now, instead of him cutting down prices on the fuel, he has increased them up to 16%. People who popularly supported him, and even the opposition stronghold, like especially like the failed politician Raila Odinga, is now mobilizing people against the persons of the president to fully demonstrate against his person. Is now deemed as a deceiver and somebody who does not stick to his promises. Or maybe when I read The Prince, they said it is better for a leader to be feared than to be loved. And maybe it is better for once not to keep your promises than to keep them, because those who have kept to their promises have never lived long. I think William Ruto is now facing the full force, and he's thinking that if involved into austerity, most of the money that we have subsidized for fear will now be used to build bridges, build other infrastructure into the country, and to ensure that there is solidity into whatever they do. We come into Mali. Mali voters back the referendum being conducted by the military junta Gelta. We all know Ibrahim Boubacar Keita was overthrown in 2020. We saw the Malian being led by Gelta, and since then we have experienced 2 coups into Mali. This latest referendum will now give the president power to sack the prime minister, and also to form a cabinet all powerful for himself. And there are fears that the military junta may also end up to run for the position of the president come 2024 in February, although he has denied and distanced himself from the position of the president. But because of the political volatile situation, a jihadist mentality that is facing in that West African country, there's a high possibility that this junta may end up to run. And we all know how unpredictable these khaki boys are. And sometimes people tell you that the worst civilian government is the best military government. He now has the intention to do almost everything that he thinks it is right for himself. And come February 2024, we are expecting general elections to be conducted into Mali. And in Mali, any government that comes into power that do not have or that does not have the backing of the military, you are liable not to last for 6 months. Finally, mob kills man in northern Nigeria over alleged blasphemy. The fanatic mentality of some northern Nigerians is now driving the country crazy. Neither Buhari, Goodluck Jonathan, Babangida, the like of Olusegun Obasanjo, you talk about Musa Yar'Adua, you name them, Sani Abacha, or that cannot stop those nefarious mentality of certain people in the north who believe that Sharia law should lead the country. A young man was killed after he's condemned people who were begging, 2 kids who were begging on the street. And according to them, he said something against Prophet Muhammad, which was seen as a blasphemous thing, and he was dragged, tortured. By the time the police took him to the hospital, he lost his life. The Imam and other people have actually condemned the act, but yet want people to refrain from saying anything against the Holy Prophet Muhammad. They have strictly warned for people to refrain from acts that can easily incite violence. And in Nigeria, as Afghanistan, this is where you have both religious and moral police parading the street, forcing people in certain states into Nigeria, especially like the North Kano, Katsina, and other places. Whenever there is a Ramadan month or the general fasting month of Muslims, nobody is allowed to eat in public. But yet they tend to be so wicked. Maybe this fanatic and jihadist mentality is creating more problem than good. Maybe had it not been religion, Africa wouldn't have been troublesome the way it is today. Thank you for listening. I am Amara, focus on Liberia, West African correspondent. Join me tomorrow, same time, same place, same hour, maybe, to come to you with the latest news on the continent, and also to tell you about Sierra Leone's general election, who won and who did not win, and what do we expect out of, or what will we expect from the next cabinet, from the next president, from the next parliamentarian, from the next local councillors, also from the last district chairperson after those mayoral elections, that we definitely expected the result tomorrow. Thanks, good night.